Carlancho's store shared some relatively interesting information. We have this first, second, and fourth place list coming out of the Vietnam National Championship, supposedly. And this is really late in the season. I don't know where this came from or really what, but we have some interesting stuff to just cover from this. So let's kind of dig into this and see what's really going on here. So we have another Gran Maju deck. I don't know what's going on with this, alright? I'll be straight honest with you guys. I've seen this deck coming up so much in Rogue play at the moment that, yes, I know that Jizmek actually did a lot for this deck, but was it enough to put it on the map? I guess. Like, this card single-handedly has carried this deck on its back and has let us see finishing places with this. And I don't know, it's caught me off guard every single time I see this. So yes, Gran Maju decks are starting to show up. We've seen 4 of them so far. I mean, last format at the beginning, we saw Spiral kind of show up at the beginning, but I don't know, this is interesting. So, this is the 4th place list piling out of the event that is literally Gran Maju Turbo. So, we have 3 copies of Ash Blossom and Joy Spring, standardized hand traps. Play 2 copies of Prangatops. We're a deck that wants to opt to go second. We want to make sure that we can OTK our opponents, and the best way to do that is, well, by blind seconding. Any opponent that we can get to go first will usually be in a good position. Prangatops also helps us to rip through those big boards. Then we have triple copies of Eater of Millions. Being able to literally stick this on the field, spot removal any issue that we have on the field. Yeah, this card is great. Plus, it's a huge boost to Gran Maju. We play 1 copy of Effect Village. There's no real reason to be playing more than 1. Granted, you are able to apply more than 1 in a turn. I think that this is fine. Then we have triple copies of Fairy Tale Snow. On normal, you get to add another spellcast with 1850 attack to your hand, and then you also get the ability to target one face-up monster your opponent controls. Your opponent sends 1 card that monster's name from their deck or extract the graveyard to negate this effect. Otherwise, you bounce both this card and that. So you give your opponent the Kaiju. Your opponent goes, oh, I don't play that Kaiju, and you bounce it back to your hand for free to continue to spot removal. 2 copies of Phantasme. Another body on the board, the ability to draw more cards, filter through a situation. The card is actually just insane for this, and you want to be able to make sure that you can establish, OTK cards. I have the 1 copy of the Gamma Seal, probably the more standardized named Kaiju. 2 copies of Ghost Ogre, just another hand trap that we have access to for disruption. 2 copies of Jizmek, nothing else really too special about this. Just stick it on the field and go, baby. And then we have triple copies of Gran Maju Diaiza, our OTK card. This card's attack and defense are equal to the number of your removed from play cards, times 400. Enjoy the random OTKs you're going to be able to do with this. We have 1 Kumamungus, the 1 Radium, triple copies of Called by the Grave, 1 Interrupted Kaiju Slumber for the blowouts, and then we have triple copies of Pot of Desires, triple copies of Pot of Extravagance. This card will probably be fueling a majority of your deck. Triple copies of Super Polymerization. Basically, if your opponent puts a threat on the field, you can't really out, or it tries to prohibit you to play the game, you just Super Poly it away, go into a winning position. It's great. Then we have triple copies of Infinite Impermanence, wrapping up the main deck. Down here in the extra deck, we have 1 copy of Link Karibo, 1 Unicorn, 2 copies of Phoenix, 1 Mermaid, 1 copy of the World Chalice Guard Dragon Al-Maraduk, and then we have 2 Starving Venom, 1 Violet Chimera, 2 Dragostapolia, triple copies of Mudragon, and then we have the 1 copy of Diplexer Chimera. Side deck here we have 1 Pringatops and 1 Phantasme, so this is where we've put the extra copies. Triple copies of Cosmic Cyclone for back removal, 2 Shared Ride, triple Evenly Matched, triple There Can Only Be 1, and 2 copies of Unending Nightmare, wrapping this up. Relatively interesting, just card choices. I like seeing another spin on the deck, more variants, more possibilities to test out things. I mean, kudos to these duelists for making it this far. Over 100 and some players at this event, which is relatively interesting as well, just in terms of general numbers and things. Now, our second place list is in fact Sky Strikers. Yeah, I know. So many players are just kind of burned out on this deck, but that's fine, because you get the chance to see more variants, and different perspectives for this deck, especially with the way that the format is going here. We're still kind of building up, testing new ideas and things like that. So any real changes to Sky Strikers you see this format, they work. So we have triple copies of Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, triple copies of Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit. I'm really personally liking the 2 Ogre and the 1 Veiler Splash between these. I never actually thought I would really like that much diversity among my hand traps, but it's pretty good. And then we have triple copies of Sky Striker Ray. That's it. Those are your monsters. Spells, we have 2 Called by the Grave. Between 2 to 3 Called by is pretty stable, this format. I'm really starting... This is interesting. I've seen 3 Foolish Burial Goods a lot this format. And the more I've been testing 3, the only real time it ever comes up is if you hard draw 2 of them, but it's just you drop the Engage in the graveyard and also let you combo start. If you need to drop the Fusion in the graveyard for the additional spell, like, you have outs and things to do that. And then we have 2 copies of Desires, more extenders for the deck. I do like this. I know a lot of players are on the fence about this, but draw power is draw power. We have 1 copy of Reinforcement of the Army, triple copies of the Area Zero, 1 copy of Afterburners, 1 Jamming Waves, and the 1 Hornet Drones, 2 Shark Cannon. I really am liking 2 Shark Cannon right now. This card does so much work, like, insanely. Then we have the triple copies of Widow Anchor, like usual, the 1 copy of the Multi-Roll, the 1 Hercules Base, the triple Engage, the 1 Terraforming, the 1 copy of the Upstart, and then we have triple Imperm and 2 copies of Solemn Judgment. Also note that there's no Eagle Booster in this list. That also caught me by surprise. Really interesting there. Extra deck down here looks pretty standard. We have the 1 Gumblar Dragon, the triple copies of Shizuku, 2 Kaina, 1 Kagari, triple copies of Hayate, of course, 1 Ningrisu, 1 Unicorn, 1 Phoenix, the 1 Hida, and the 1 copy of the Boral Sword Dragon. Down here in the side deck, we have triple copies of Prankatops, 2 Drone Lockbird, triple Gamma, 1 Driver, triple Twin Twister, and triple copies of There Can Only Be One. Wrapping up this list. Seeing no Eagle Booster, seeing Desires in the main, these are things that stick out to me as interesting. Also, seeing Judgment sticking in this list, too. Also, particularly interesting. Once again, I like that diversity and things that we see out of these lists that challenge the norm. And then the last list we had here, first place, is actually a Salad list. Now, this is pretty spicy. That's a Gozen match. That's a 1 of Gozen match in the main deck. If you see it, it looks like it does a lot of work. If you don't see it, no stress off your back, right? Like, that's how this works. So, we have first place Salad coming out of Vietnam. We have triple copies of Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, 1 copy of the Crusadia Reclusia. Just being able to special summon it, spot removal, it's so good. 2 copies of Effect Veiler, 2 copies of Phantasme. I'm starting to notice a trend with Phantasme in this format. Maybe it's not a 3-of card anymore. 1 Flame Buffalero, 1 Lady Debug, the 1 copy of the Falco, the 1 Fowl, the triple Foxy, the 1 Gazelle, the 2 Jack Jaguar. I've seen a lot of players talking about sticking to 2 Jack Jaguar this format. It really does look like it's doing pretty okay. We have triple copies of Spinny. Spells, we have the 1 Called by the Grave, 1 Cosmic, 2 Signet Mining, 1 Desires, 1 Circle, 1 Sanctuary, and the 1 Will of the Salamangreat. Traps, 1 Gozen Match, 1 Impure Order, triple Imperm, 2 copies of the Rage, 2 copies of the Roar, and triple copies of Solemn Judgment. This list looks like a mishmash so far. Extra deck down here looks pretty standard. Triple Sunlight Wolf, 2 Helio, triple Balinix, 1 Avermax, 1 Phoenix, the 1 Ablaze, the 2 copies of Mirage Talio, and a Dugress the Timeless. This is interesting. And then we have 1 copy of Abyssal. Side deck here we have 2 copies of Ghost Ogre, 1 Violet Chimera, 1 Starving Venom, and triple Super Poly. Okay, I found our Super Poly targets. We have 2 Twin Twister, 2 Anti-Spell Fragrance, 2 more Gozen, a Dynamiscus, and an Unending Nightmare. Wrapping this up. This deck is so random. Like, looking at the Gran Maju deck and the Sky Striker deck, I see more consistency in these builds. Those look pretty good on paper. And then you look at this, you're like, what is this hodgepodge? Well, I mean, sometimes randomness just pays off. And I think this is another one of those cases. So what do you guys think about the deck list coming out of this national championship? Like I said, this is pretty late in the season, and definitely an interesting one at that. But leave a comment down below. Tell me what you guys have to say about this. Are you guys going to test any of these really weird lists? I like the Sky Striker list. I do. It's given me some interesting ideas and things to test, but we'll see where we go from there. All right, guys, I'll catch you on the flip side. Peace. The ride never, well, truly ends. Thank you, patrons. Without you guys, I don't know what I'd be wearing in these videos. I might be a Truffle Shuffle incident all over again. Guys, please also check out Vanquil40 for some awesome Vanguard content. Some other interesting stuff you might find up here on the left or in the description as well. Thanks for watching.